Good morning, Laura. Can you hear me?
Yes, it took me a while to get my mute
Ah,
button off.
you're
But
in the
good
dark.
morning.
You care. I care, but do you
Oh,
care?
well, let me see. Wait, let me see. Now, can you see me?
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. Catherine was the one that motivated me to come on because I was like, she's like, well, you can come on when you're driving or when you're at work just before.
Uh,
I'm like, you're right, Catherine. I'm going to come on before I start my calls for the day. So I'm at work, if you can tell.
yeah.
But I'm excited about it. So I'm going to start joining.
Cool beans. I love it. Right now, you're the only person
Yeah.
on. So just dig in, like catch me up. Like, how has life dang been?
Well, I think, like I said, I think I'm super excited about just like where real estate's going. And like from what people have been telling me, and even the market, how it's kind of starting to feel like a regular market from what people have said based on how it was in COVID. So, as like a new agent, I feel like, especially with our coaching, I feel like I kind of understand it more. Like, even like going to look at a graph, like, oh, okay, there's like an ebb and flow, an up and down. And I didn't get that before, if
Uh-huh.
that makes sense, you
It
know?
totally makes sense because I remember going through graphs with you. I
Yes. And I was
totally
like,
get
I
it.
remember this with Gina. So I
Uh-huh.
think that, and then I think I'm starting to put more action to the words, like
Mhm.
going out to go find lenders, finding people that I want to work with, like understanding that you have to build a team,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
importance of a CRM. Before I was just like, I'll do that eventually. It's like, oh no, you need that in the beginning.
Yeah, you really do.
Like,
You need
get
that. And
organized.
yeah, I love what you're doing because you need the action with it. It's both. It cannot be one or the other because if it's just action, your life is a train wreck and it looks like, 27 pieces of paper all over the place. Or worse, typical agent, these are all the people you're supposed to deal with. That's so typical. Um, as I say from my pile of stickies, these are quotes though, just FYI.
Okay,
But
good.
there's other mess all over the desk. And if you only work on CRM, learning graphs, and building a team, you have no business. It really has to be both of them moving forward. And it's
Yep.
this dance. I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the juxtaposition between the two things in coaching and in life and all that. And I'm like, on some levels, you're 10 feet tall. And on some levels, you're like, as a human being, like, I know I'm good at this. And then the other levels were just 1 inch small because it's like,
Mhm.
I have so far to go. I have
I
so
know.
far left. And it's just an interesting thing. Real estate's the same way. It's not one or the other, it's both.
And like, especially with real estate, like you always have been saying, like I remember the call you did on one Monday night, and you were talking about, I think you talked about like top 10 things as an agent that you should keep in mind mindset wise.
Mhm.
And like thinking back to that conversation in that Monday night class, it made me think how important mindset is as a realtor, right? Because it's like, if real estate starts with the people you know, you
Mhm.
kind of have to trust that the people you know are going to back your business. You know what I mean? It's like, if you have to market yourself, who do you market to first? Your sphere of influence. And people
Yeah.
say it to me and I didn't get
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
you know?
I
So
love
I'm
it.
like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's like, you have to put yourself out there or you're not really going to get
Oh, you guys are gonna have fun today. You're gonna really like
business.
this class. Let's dig
And
in.
even like
Yeah.
Monday night, recently Monday night class, I can't remember the
Jay
Gary's
Connor.
friend. He's
Oh,
like, I was like, private lending. I needed, and it was just like, wow. He just literally marketed himself to people in a way that didn't feel salesy, that they wanted to help.
exactly. And the crazy thing is, when I went to go buy the rental for my daughter, I literally went to two people and said, would you like, oh, we lost Bree. She's on the road. She'll come right back. I literally went to
Okay.
two people and I'm like, how much money is your money earning right now? And they were like, I don't know, 0.75% in the bank or something like that. I'm like, how would you like to earn 5%? And both of them were like, because interest rates were lower then, right? And they're both like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And
Yeah,
that was it. It took two people to fund it. That was it.
that's
Now,
it.
the mistake I made was I only funded the purchase price. So the rehab came full out of
Mm,
pocket, and that has just about killed me.
it
I,
did. Okay.
yeah,
Wait, so
that,
how did the rehab come out of, like, can you get a, but you can get a bank loan to do the rehab, right? Or what did you want
yeah,
to
I
do?
didn't though. I ran it through on my own
Oh,
personal cash, every ounce of
got you.
everything I had, and put all that out, which I did not frankly have to do. And then of course it would have been fine, but rehabs typically cost twice as much money as they say they will. They always
Oh, I
do.
didn't know
They
that.
always do. So that part kind of
Okay.
bit me in the butt. And Jay's class is you borrow enough for the rehab also and to pay yourself. I was like, and
Okay,
that's
okay.
the part that I missed, but
I like that.
it was brilliant. All right. Hey, it's all ladies today. Let's dig in.
Hey, Bree.
So,
Hey.
morning, morning,
Good morning,
Kay.
good morning.
Morning. You're on two windows.
Yeah, I couldn't get in and then I got in, so let me leave this one.
Okay.
You
It's
just-
interesting though.
You needed a double dose of me today.
We do, and we've got two different views, so it's super interesting. So, all right, y'all, let's dig in. I just this morning, right before class, finished a book written in, I think, 1890, and it's called The Science of Getting Rich. And the initial title, have you read it, Kay? Because it was a smile.
Long time ago.
I love if you told me today, if you gave me a book today called The Science of Getting Rich written today, I'd be like, yeah, I may or may not be interested in it. Probably not. But if you give me a book from the turn of the last, 2 centuries ago on the science of getting rich, those fascinate me. They fascinate me. They're all around that time of Think and Grow Rich and those type of classes. And it's mindset. It's heavy, heavy, heavy mindset. It's not heavy like it's hard to comprehend. It's heavy like that's the bulk of the book is mindset. Slim little tiny book. And here are the things out of it that I thought I'd share because I thought they were so fascinating. And then I'm just going to go through and share I've got 7 concepts that I wrote down here that I grabbed out of the book. I'm just going to share them, but as I'm sharing them, like dive into it and dig into it, because let's have some fun with this. And let's like wrestle if we need to. Or not if we don't. I mean, whatever, it's Friday. It's a 3-day weekend coming up. So the first one, and literally what I did, just so you guys know, is I sat down here and I had about 3 minutes in between I have an accountability call on Friday mornings, and then I have this class. And I was just like, what did you just learn out of this book? Boom, 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 boom. So it's all top fresh in mind. The first one is abundance. You have to believe that you are entering into a place that you are in a place of abundance. There's everything out there in the entire world. It is not, there's only one piece of pie and I have to take the pie. It is not that at all. There is enough pie for everybody.
I fed you. Your mom didn't.
Oh, you got a doggy?
My daughters.
Okay. All right. It's a
Yep.
place of abundance. You have abundant doggies. So it's all a place of abundance. There's more than enough to go around. You don't have to do my. And the counter side of that means that I can share every trick with you because it doesn't hurt me to do that. It only helps me to do that. So there's no lack. And if you get yourself to where you're thinking in a place of lack, switch it up. And I got to tell you, I just lived this, and I'm probably going to live it 1,000 times again, but I just lived it in my calendar. I was going through and telling myself and everybody else, I was literally doing this. I was like, hang on, that needs to stay there because I got to do that. I was like, look at my calendar. My calendar looks like this. There's no time to do this and no space to do that. And it's crazy. And I can't get all this stuff done and blah, blah. And then I finally just went, Gina, that's bullshit. Pardon my French. And I know it's early for cursing. That's bullshit the way you're living your life. You're going to turn 60 and then 70 and then 80, and you will not be doing the things you want to do because you don't think you have time to do them. And that's crap. So figure it out. So I realized that I had all these big projects that were hanging over me. It's no bigger than anybody else. It's just my stupid brain going, yeah, I don't want to deal with that until it's huge. I had taxes. I've got my mom's, all her Medicaid, Greg's mom's, all her Medicaid stuff. And then I'm involved in a couple of closing out my dad's estate, and my brother was suing because of all that. So I had all this crap going on with all that. And I'm like, we're just done dealing with this stuff. Done. So I got the brother stuff done, which was involved dealing with massive IRS. I finished the taxes. What I did on Monday, 2 Mondays ago, I went through my calendar before the week started, and I blocked out every 2-hour block of window I could find throughout the entire week. If I found 6 of them, I blocked out 6. If I found 3, I blocked out 3. It didn't matter, just every single 2-hour window, because big projects like that, for me, I need a 2-hour window to block them out. So I blocked them out. And then my assistant, Ava, Oh, it's like, Gina, there's no time to book anybody in here. Like, there's no times. I'm like, well, figure it out, because no one's taking this away from me anymore. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. And so I'm like, there's a half hour here and a half hour here. Like, people just have to work with it or slide them out 2 weeks. I don't care. Like, I have to get this done. And when I get it done, I'll lift those time blocks out. I finished my taxes by Thursday. I gotta tell you, it sucked and I hated it. And I was in a pissy mood the entire week, pretty much, but I got it done. Then what happened? So I got that done. I got the IRS done. I have the mom's Medicaid stuff, the house thing. I got all that taken care of. I just finished that up yesterday. And in 3 weeks, I got 3 big, huge projects done. I also took on 6 hours of lead generation a week. And if you would have told me before my place of abundance, calendar wise, 3 weeks ago, you will get these three of your 10 or whatever it is, big, huge main projects done and have plenty of time left over. And every day this week, minus Monday because of the meeting, I've stopped work at 5:30 and not worked until 7, 8, whatever o'clock at night. If you would have told me I could have done that, I would have laughed at you.
Wow.
The problem was me. It was me. It was me and what I was saying. It can't be done. It can't be done. It can't be done. So as soon as you say it can't be done, it can't be done. And instead, it needs to be, well, how is it going to get done? There is enough. You can do this. There's enough. It's huge. Huge for me. So any other thoughts on abundance before we dig into the next one, or any thoughts around that?
So I've been, with this shift and having to do the shift in mindset and shift in my business plan, I've been worried about making ends meet.
Mhm.
So, and time and all that stuff, and same thing, how am I going to fit everything in? I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And it's being done. Like, I look back for the last 6 weeks, 2 months, I had the negative mindset, like, oh, well, not this, I wouldn't say negative, but it wasn't positive, and it was like worry, which is
Scarcity.
negative believing.
Yep.
So then I just threw it out the window. I was like, I'm just going to make it work. So hopefully we'll have prayerfully 2 closings coming up in the next 4 weeks. And I've been waiting tables where the average check person was $30, $40. And I was working quite a bit. I found a place where the average check is about $200, well, per person check. And you get 12 people per table and only have to work a couple of days a week. And it's in the evening. So it doesn't cut into my daytime lead generating time. And I got to meet some Titans, some NFL players last night,
Oh, that's cool.
and they tip well.
And they probably eat a lot.
They eat a lot and they drink a lot.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
So,
love
and
that.
yeah, so it was like you were saying, I didn't realize, and I woke up this morning feeling better. So it was mindset. It wasn't that it wasn't there before. I just didn't.
You
I
don't,
didn't have my crap together.
you don't see it.
You don't see it.
You don't see it.
You don't see it. It doesn't even exist because you can't see it because your brain is shut down to whatever it is that doesn't exist at all. It
You
doesn't exist.
You freeze.
And I was asked to be the vice president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. They want me to be the president in 2024.
Woo! Wow. Oh, this makes me want to cry, Bree. This is so awesome.
Yeah. And I'm in the National Chamber of Commerce. They want me to be on a committee, and the Greater National Association of Realtors, I'm on the legislative committee. So.
Can I just tell you all something? This is why this makes me so proud for Bree. When I first met her, I saw the leadership that she has in her. And this is not about me. This is about Bree. So please don't mean it that way, because I don't mean it that way. But Bree, I really saw the leadership in you, and I knew you didn't see it in you. And it has been such a joy and a pleasure. And so many times with me going, do you not see this in you? Do you not see?
Right.
Oh,
You
so
did
glad
say that.
Well, yeah, so many people see this in you because you are an absolute natural leader and you lead the right direction. You lead from this which is how do I support and help you? And a place of abundance, and another one that we're going to get into, which is going to be number 4 when I get down to there, versus a place of this, which I'm not. Yeah, this is a very different kind of leadership. And there's a
Right.
place for this when you're going in and tearing apart a whole business to get it back moving again. You have to lead like
Right.
this to a degree, but you really do lead like this. And I think this is the best leadership when you've got people that are talent. When you're dealing with talent, you lead like this. You know, whatever the
Thank
talent
you.
is. Yeah, when it's completely dysfunctional, you have to do this until you can get the
Right.
talent people in. When it's dysfunctional, because you have to. But wow, that's really good. Congrats.
I want to bring everybody up with me. Let's go, ladies.
I know. Party at Bree's house.
Party in my house.
I love it. You know, you're pretty centrally located for all of us. So
Yeah, come on. My house is big enough. We just have to boot the kids out.
I'm all for that.
I am all for that. I'll tell you what, you pick a weekend or a date and I will totally be there because that would be really fun. All right, number 2, thought. Perfect. Your mind has to be focused on what it is that you're doing. And it has to stay focused in, and you have to be able to hold what that is that you're going after with perfect clarity in your brain of what it is. That whatever your success looks like, whatever this thing looks like, you have to hold that thought single-mindedly in your head. That is hugely important. I can't remember who I was coaching, but I was coaching somebody. I know it was a guy, so I know he's not on here. And he was like, I just don't see myself as that. And I'm like, okay,
Oh,
you have all the actions, but you don't have this. And so the only homework I gave him, I'm like, I just want you to focus in on visualizing what your success is going to look like. And it reminds me, Nick, my accountability buddy that I have right before this on Fridays, the first day told me, he said, I want you every single day to look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I'm a beautiful human being. And if you don't do that, I will not coach with you. I was like, crap. But he hit on something. And what that thing was keeping my thoughts really clear about who I am and what I'm about and all that. And it's not, you know, that the beautiful person. It's the concept of focusing in on the vision of what you want for your, of what you are for your life. And then your body, which does not know the difference, your brain has no idea. When you visualize a dog, or you have Kathy's daughter's dog right in front of you, the same synapses and neurons and everything in the brain bounce, they connect, the same ones. Brain has no idea if it's a visualization or it's real. It's all the same up in here, the exact same. And what happens with our brain when we have a concept like there's not enough time, like that, like on the negative side, let's use the negative side as an example. When the brain has that concept, the brain will look at that calendar and it will go, there's not enough time. And it will see only what it wants to see. And then it will tell your body to act in a way that lines up with what you've told it the truth is. So if I tell it the truth is that I live in a place of abundance and I am extraordinarily wealthy and I help 1 million people, and like literally I want to help, one of my goals in my life is to help 1 million people. It's a literal goal. It's not just I help 1 million people. I want to help 1 million people. If I tell myself that those are the things that I am, I will see what is right there in front of me and has been in front of me all along. Okay, so the importance of your thoughts. The next one, or any thoughts on thoughts? Let's actually do that first.
Can you say that again, please?
Any thoughts on thoughts and visualization and keeping that clear in your brain of what it is, like, I don't know, whatever it is that you have deemed for you, for your life, for success. I own 30 rentals. I am this, I am that.
Well, I keep interjecting thoughts of kind of what if, or, you know, and I create doubt. Like, what if this doesn't sell? What am I going to do? And I'm already down the negative path before I've even given it a chance to sell. And instead of looking at okay, I've had this listing. It's been on for 25 days. I've had 4 showings. I haven't had any offers. I know I need 10. You know, what am I gonna, how can I, boost it, whatever. I'm trying to figure that out. And then that gets me into technology. And then my technology fear raises its head. And I think, oh, I can't do it. I'm not the right, and then I'm not the right agent. I'm not the right person. I'm not, and all that doubt just swirls in my head.
And you all just got to say when instead of the other.
Yeah.
When it sells.
When it sells.
I love this. What you're describing, that negative movie that plays, is a great example of playing a positive movie. It's so easy for us to play a negative movie in our heads. This is never going to work. Who am I to do this? I'm just a fool. I'm too chunky, old, stupid, out of the, whatever it is that goes through that. It'll never work. I don't have technology. I don't have the blah, 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 blah. That negative movie that we spend time visualizing. If I'm faced with a conversation, I'm going back to my agent days, and if I had a hard conversation I knew was going to be coming up with a seller, buyer, whatever, who knows, just a hard conversation I knew was going to be coming up, I would play this movie in my head. And this movie was full of every single thing. They're going to say this, and then I'm going to say that, and then they're going to say this. And it was nuts. And all this time, energy, and effort was spent on playing this crazy movie inside my head. And what I had to do was learn that is a movie and a visualization that I'm creating in my head. And instead, I had to stop and replace it with a positive visualization. It's the same skills. It's just using your powers for good. But it's the same exact skills as playing the movie in my head. Well, then what if they say this? And what if they say that? And then what does this look like? And what does that look like? And it took me probably maybe 3 months to retrain my brain into a positive. And it's not like it's perfect. It's not like I never think negative crap, because I do. I just now am more aware of it. And I hope to God I catch it sooner when I find myself going down that path of, you can't fit stuff in your calendar, you fool, So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I'm glad that you do that, because that tells me clearly you have the skills and clearly you have the concept. You just have to really work your socks off on switching it over towards using your that knowledge for good now that you know.
One of the things that I do when I think of it in terms of depression or big negativity that way, is that I try to recognize that I'm doing that, one, and say, and let myself be there for just a certain window of time, and then say, that's it, no more. Because if you don't, for me, I keep going down. So, I still stop it eventually, but it is a much bigger, longer thing. And I think you can do the same thing with what you're talking about, Kay, and just kind of say, okay, what if, because I have those kinds of things too. And I'm always trying to figure it out and be a step ahead and whatever. And I think it falls in that line. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to have plan B and C and D and whatever. But I think you put them like behind and use it to support the win.
I like that. I also like that even if you do have a plan B, C, or D, it's behind, because right now I'm here, so this is what I need to deal with right now. And if this doesn't work, great, I'll have another one. But yeah,
like LaserJet toner stuff that went out, and I need to do a whole bunch of flyers yesterday.
Printers know that. Printers are the sociopaths of the world, of the machine world. I'm not joking. Printers are like, oh, you need this?
And I placed the order, but it's not coming until 2 weeks from now. And I needed this done this morning so I could take it to the post office and mail it. So it went out today.
Yep. So we're going to get to that thing too, when life goes a sideways direction. Exactly. All right, let's dig into our next one. creative versus competitive. So I really like this one, and it took me a little while to kind of wrap my brain around it. And it is when we are creating with our thoughts, which thoughts have weight, and for some reason, that's the way the universe works. Thoughts have weight, and it makes it appear before you the things that were always there. When you are focused in on what that is, that you are, hyper focused in on what direction that is that you're going to, or going towards, or becoming, or are. We can do it in a creative sense or in a competitive sense. And it goes back to that abundance thing. In a creative sense is if I'm going to create abundance, that means that I'm going to be creating in such a way that I am lifting up everybody around me also. And there's a win-win situation versus a competitive sense, which means I'm going to create, but you have to lose. In order for me to get up a step on the ladder, which is really a thought I used to believe when I was much younger, that people that succeeded at the top of the ladder got there by pushing down on other people to get up there. And it took me a long time because I always would look at that and go, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that way. Well, I don't have to be that way. I can create and I can have abundance and I can be wealthy out of a sense of lifting up everybody else. And it's more Zig Ziglar. If I help enough people get what they want, I will get what I want as well. And there's a creativeness in that because true wealth, if you really look at it, true wealth, and not in a spiritual sense, I mean in an actual financial sense, true wealth has always been from creating new industries and creating new things out of nothing. It's always been that way. It's when the steel magnets figured it out, and when the railroad magnets figured it out, and when the tech magnets figured it out, and when the social platform magnets figured it out, it was creating something out of nothing. Over and over again, it's creating. And it's not to say that the only way we can get really, really wealthy is by creating something out of nothing. It's not that at all. It's a creative force versus a competitive force. Does that make sense?
I heard a great speaker yesterday at the luncheon I went to, and she was an entrepreneur, and she bought this company called Knight Aerospace. And she saw the potential of what was needed. And they make modular inserts that go into the back of JC-130s. And they make kitchen galleys, they make hospitals, they make all this stuff over something that has been around forever. And she is trying to change the mindset of the US government that instead of making more widgets to hang in these god-awful back of the planes, to go a new route and put something in that's comfortable and life-giving. It was amazing.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You mentioned something about life-giving at the very end. And all of this comes out of the principle that nature and life is about growth. That is what is about. In nature, in all of our world around us, you either are growing or you're
Dying.
Yep. That's it. That's it. There's no such thing as stagnant. It does not exist. The very world that you stand on is spinning at God knows how many miles per hour through space, this way and this way. And the whole thing's spinning also. All of our space is spinning as well. It's all movement. And it's all growth. It's all expanding. Our universe and everything is constantly expanding. It's just constantly, that's the world we live in. It's all about growth. So I love that at the end that she's doing it out of a place of growth. That's very cool, or life affirming. Okay, value. We, in order to be rich, must give more than we receive financially. So if I am doing a real estate transaction and it costs that person $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever, they have to get more from me than that $10,000 worth. And we have to build our businesses and our lives that way so that we give more in value than the money that we take in, because then people are going to be paying you for the rest of your life for that value all day long. All day long. So if I coach, when I had the coaching company, still have it, I just don't actively coach on the outside, I only coach on the inside now. When I had the coaching company, if you were going to pay me $1,000 a month, I better make sure the value I give you is going to increase your GCI by $200,000 a year. or whatever it works out to be. And if I continue doing that, then people will line up to give me their money. In real estate, we give way more value, and I think we lose this as agents. I think we see a check that's, $20,000 or 15 or whatever it is, 10, 3, it doesn't matter what the dollar amount is. And we say, well, am I really worth that? If what you're giving is more value than that, yes, you are worth it all day long, because you're giving so much value and expertise. And with everything that Gary's teaching us, or even just take the one class that Jay Connor did. If you go around and teach people that concept and then take that money and invest for them and give them an 8% ROI, or before they were getting a 1% ROI, and you teach them how to put it in a Roth IRA through Quest, and it's now tax-free on the increase, is that worth your picking up an investment property for $100,000 and turning around and renting it for $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, whatever it rents for? Is that worth it? You just increased everyone's ROI 8 times over. Worth it. You're worth it. You're worth every single big check that comes your direction. You're absolutely worth it. Okay, that's part of our value and our worth. Any thoughts around that one?
That one's easy to look negative in.
Talk about that. Tell me more.
Well, it just is for me anyway, because I know I struggle with me thinking that I'm of value, period. I mean, I know I am, and I know I give back all the time and whatever, but that little voice in the back of my head isn't usually very nice.
It's not.
Well,
You
I have
know.
a story to share about what just happened to me. I shared it with Gina, but we had this Louisiana land deal, and they clearly violated the contract. And it was me, a Louisiana broker that I co-brokered with, and Gary. And he said, go through and put your time in and put what you're worth. And, he said, how much were you making before, you got into real estate? And I said, well, I made 6 figures and it was good. And he said, then put that number in. And then Sean, the other guy, put his number in. And then we compared, and I thought, oh, I need to lower my number to Sean so we'll be the same, because surely Sean is better than me. And then we got on a call with Gary, and Gary said, you really need to go for what you're worth. And we did. And I doubled my fee, and Sean raised his up another $15 an hour, and we submitted it. And she did say it was so much higher than she thought. And then she told the attorneys to pay it.
I love that story.
Yeah.
It was a real lesson learned. It was a real lesson. I haven't got the money in the bank yet. I'm going to celebrate when the money gets in the bank.
Right.
But she did tell me, she said, I told him just to pay it. I don't ever want to go through this again, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, you shouldn't, because you broke a contract, and that is not okay. And I said, you have no idea how much work and time people put in on your behalf, and you don't value it.
Yay, Kay! I'm so
I
happy.
know, it's huge. It really is huge.
Yeah. Because
And the last thing I told Gina is the more that I pushed her away, the more she gravitated and did not want to let me go.
Control. She had a control issue.
I don't know what it was, but I just said, I said, I'm not doing this. I can't do this anymore. I said, I'll honor my commitment till the end of the year, and then my prices are going up, and I'm not doing this anymore. And she said, no, I only want you to do it. I said, I can't. It takes too much time, and I'm not going to spend my time that way. I've never been that blunt or bold with anybody before. And I just said, I can't, I don't want to. It was huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's good for her. What I really love about that, when we create boundaries around our lives, it's good for us. It's hugely, obviously we need a boundary because we're in pain and we need to draw that line, and boundaries are a good thing. People think boundaries are not, but they're a good thing. It's good for her too. It's really good for her to learn other people's value because she's been running roughshod over a lot of people and hurting a lot of people. It's not okay. It's just not. You know, so congratulations on that, Kay. That's huge. You helped a lot of people with that. Yourself included, your family included, Sean, Gary, this room right here, and her. That's, oh man, that's a really beautiful, thank you so much, Kay.
Yep,
Thank
and you're
you.
smiling this week instead of last week when you were pulling your hair out.
Can't hear you, you're on mute.
I was panicky and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And look at all the money that I've lost. I put a year of my life. I'm not going to get paid, and now I'm putting stuff in the contracts that's going to make sure that if anything happens to her, that I get paid. And she said, well, if anything happens to you and you can't show, then I don't want to have to pay a commission. I said, that's fine. I'll put that in every day. I'll trade $200 for valuation of selling your property after you're gone. Heck yeah.
Yep.
So
Wow.
I learned and I said, okay, there's a way to do it. How do I language it? Where's a way to do it? How do I language it?
Yep. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. Number 5, guard your mind. Do not, gosh, I'm just going to say it. Don't watch the news. Don't do it. Don't watch the news. Don't let, if negative people are coming in your life saying it can't be done, stop. I don't want to listen to this. I'm sorry. I can't. If you're going to continue talking, I got to leave the room. Or whatever it is you have to do to guard your mind. But guard your mind. When you catch yourself going, it's not going to happen. This isn't whatever the negative thing is, stop and then get yourself focused on more positive. And if you have to go outside of this to get it from outside affirmations, get it from outside affirmations. I had to lean into my husband the other day before I lead generated. I was like, I just need someone to get this clear again so that I can move back forward again. I have a group that we meet once a week and someone's in the hot seat. And what the hot seat is, you literally go through I'm not doing this because this is what's going on in my head and talk me through this thing. And they talk you through it. And then they open your eyes up to new opportunities. And I happen to be the one that was in the hot seat last week. Guard your mind. When I first got into real estate and I first understood the importance of affirmations and I am and visualizing and keeping forward, that one of the very first things I said was, I have 10 listings. And I said it every morning before I made my phone calls. I have 10 listings. At the time I had 3 and I never had more than 3. I have 10 listings. And my husband would hear me and Mr. Rock solid, practical husband who I love and has a very good heart. So it's not like I don't want to paint him in a negative picture because he's not, he's an amazing man, would say, no, you don't. You have 3. What are you doing? Like, that's a lie. You can't lie. And I'm like, go away. And it took me a long time to get through his head because he's very much this is what is true and right and good and justice and all those kinds of things. He's very much that person. And
I
I'm like,
battle with that.
yeah, I'm like, look, darling, I'm going to just speak from a place of faith right now. I'm a Christian. I do not believe there's a thing called time. I believe that time only exists because I'm a physical human being and that's it. And if I wasn't a physical human being, there would be no time because I could be here and over there at the same time. And I can't because I'm physical and I have a body and my body has to walk across to get over there, which will take me, 30 seconds or whatever it will take me to get over there. And that's why time exists. And so if time doesn't exist, I can say I have 10 listings because I do have 10 listings. I just don't have it right now, right here, this second in this room. But it does exist and I do have it. And he finally was like, you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, don't care. I need you not to do that anymore. And so he stopped. And then a month later, I had 10 listings. I had them. And then I said, I have 20 listings. And then I had 20. And then I said, I have 40. And then I had 40. And I just kept on upping it to what I am saying. I am that. But I had to guard my mind, even from my husband who meant well. He meant well, really did. It just wasn't helping me in that space in that time. And the funny thing is the great story is I also said not another winter from living in Washington State. And then lo and behold, in September, I moved to Virginia, where it was 70 degrees all winter that year, which is freakishly weird. And Kathy knows, although I lived in the southern part, so my odds of having 70 degrees all year are much better than where you are. But anyway, I live in Virginia. And I kept on texting my husband. It was hard too. He stayed back home to sell the house and we spent 6 months apart, 5 months actually. It was very hard. But we kept on meeting every about 6 weeks. We'd meet somewhere in the United States and go have like, 3 or 4 days and then go fly back home again. And that's how we got through it mentally, physically too, actually. But anyway, but it was hard. And I asked him, I'm like, what's your New Year's resolution? He's like, I'm going to write it down. And I'm like, can't you just tell me? And after going back and forth 3 times, I'm like, why are you not telling me? He goes, no, my resolution is I'm going to write it down. You wrote down another winter and you wrote down, I have 10 listings and you wrote this and you wrote that. And you had, you got up to 80 and you're in Virginia and I've had 2 ice storms and it's freezing flipping cold here and I hate it. And I should have listened to you and said, just write it down and visualize it and become it. I was like, you are teachable. It's not easy, but you are. So guard your mind. Put those boundaries around it. Guard it and protect it. It's super important. Anybody else have anything on guarding your mind?
Yeah, I pretty much don't watch the news.
Oh, good.
And that's exactly why it's negative all the time.
If you need to know what's going on, there's programs out there now, there's apps and there's services that are very, very minimal, like $1 a week kind of a thing. That is unbiased news. So, and I belong to a couple of them. And if a couple of the free versions, so if I want to dig in further, I will Google it and find it. And it's just headlines without any bias. And then I can choose to dig in. It's better. For me personally, it's better for me to read a headline and say, that is something interesting I want to dig into further, versus to have visuals in front of my face of negative, slanted, biased, horrible, only the bad in the world for 49 minutes, 8 minutes of commercials and 1 minute of something sweet that happened in the world. That's crap. I'll fill my life with cat videos if I want to. You know what I mean? Which I don't need to.
It was a long, long time ago after my mom wasn't here. And because they always had the newspaper every morning. My dad used to get it, look at the newspaper, blah, 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 every day.
I
So
loved doing that when I was younger.
she
too.
came here, I started getting the newspaper, right? Well, when it wasn't needed anymore, I discontinued and they tried to get me to do it again. And I said to them, are you reporting good news yet? I really did. And they said, what? And I said, are you reporting good news yet? The newspaper is full of negativity and I don't want it. When you start reporting more good news than you are negativity, then I'll get it again.
Needless to say, you don't get the newspaper anymore.
I have not. I do get it every once in a while from the landfill or whatever for fires. So I can burn it.
I like it for landscaping. Like
that works
literally,
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a great weed blocker. Thick
Yep.
newspaper, it's a great weed blocker. It put the dirt on top of, put it down, put the dirt on top of it.
Several layers.
Yeah, several layers, can't just do one, and it doesn't hurt the environment at all. It decomposes, it kills the weeds. It's a great weed blocker, which is probably one of the best uses for newspapers there ever could be.
Yep. So now, since I don't get the newspaper, I do have a shredder and the junk mail gets shredded
Right.
and I can use that.
That is a good idea. Actually, that is a very good idea. My mother-in-law has a shredder. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next one, time. So I was working with Bree on this a little bit also, and my own calendar, and I shared a little bit about my calendar. And then a thing that I do, which is my list of every week, I have this list, and then I start marking things off of it. I highlight that, like today, get these done. What the book talked about for time was this. In any given day, we have our 8 hours or 10 hours or however long it is we want to focus in on our work. And the book says that you should look at your time spent as a success if, not in a hurried way, not in a frenetic way, not in a frantic way, not in a 20,000 things added to my to-do list way, not in I just want to add more way, because that's not what this is about. If I have 10 minutes and I use that 10 minutes to the best use of that 10 minutes, then that is successfully using my 10 minutes of time. If I have an hour and I use it to my highest, most successful use for that hour, then that is the best, then that is a success of that hour. We all have the same amount of time. We all probably spend time doing things that are not the highest and successful and best use of that time. And this kind of came to mind. So I've been trying to live this for the last couple of weeks of successfully using my 10 minutes or my hour to the highest success of that time. That does not mean filling it with stuff. It does not mean that. Maybe the highest and best use of that time right now is visualizing myself in a successful way. Maybe it is building something, but it is looking at it and going, what is the highest and most successful use of my 10 minutes right now? Like yesterday, one of the things that has been coming out for me is one of the things that I want to do is I want to write more. I want to write and I want to speak more. That is really a passion and a pull and a slow burn that I have in my life of this is what I really want to do. I had 10 minutes of time and I was kind of floundering a little bit yesterday with my use of time. And then this morning reflecting back on why was I floundering. But one of the things that popped up is, well, I want to write. You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes is writing right now, even though this is a passion and a thing that I want to do and spend more time on. This is not the highest and best use of your 10 minutes. It's just not. If you had 2 hours, great, right away, because that's a good use of that. If that is the direction, if that's the best and highest use of that particular 2 hours. But 10 minutes is not, it's not ever going to be. Okay. So even though I have a passion to write something right now, 10 minutes isn't it. What a good use of my 10 minutes would have been, which I did not do, would have been emailing. I had a couple people that I need to email some stuff back to. That would have been a very good use of my 10 minutes. And I did not do it. I kind of floundered. I was like, why'd you flounder? Because you didn't have a clear path on it. And you didn't have the list on the list of those people to look at it and go, hang on, I got 10 minutes. What can I do in my 10 minutes right now that I can crank out? So how we spend our time, the way that to succeed at that is to look at what is the best use for this time right now that is the highest and best use in going and doing that. And without, for me, the tool that I use without this list, and perhaps this should be a betterly broken down list as far as these are my long-term projects in any given week. And then on the other side, these are my things I can crank out in 10 minutes. Maybe that would be a better use of my list so that I can constantly look at, oh, this is a 5-second task. Let's go get this nailed out. Nailed down, nailed down, nailed down. But I do know that without this, I would really flounder because this brain cannot, our brains aren't meant for this stuff anyway. It's not meant for a list of tasks. And it's just not meant for that. Paper is a good use for that, or something else is a good use for that. Our brains are much better than that and more important for that. So get it out, get it on something so that you can go crank it out. And this needs to be spent on protecting and guarding and focusing in on what direction it is we want to be going on and solving much higher use.
I want to say one thing on that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really have studied and pondered on is that God was a creator. I believe God was a creator of the universe.
Mhm.
And I believe we are closest to God when we are creating.
I agree.
So how do I get myself into a creative mindset? And sometimes it's getting into a being mindset versus a doing mindset.
Yes, we are human beings. We're not human doings. Yes. Yes. So how do we get into a being space?
You
There
allow
it is, the
yourself for
problem.
one, don't you think? You allow yourself to be in that space for one. You give yourself permission.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And what is underneath why we don't give ourselves permission?
Because we have too much to do, because we need this, we need that, whatever.
And my self-talk is, if you do nothing, which being to me is doing nothing in my head, then
Yep.
I am lazy. And I was raised not to be lazy.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because
And
we
you know
don't
what?
value it.
I loved every second of being gone, except for when I was working.
Because it fills your soul. And on an empty soul, we cannot, an empty bucket, if you will, we cannot give back. There's a concept of a bucket that I love this concept. Do you guys know the concept of the 5-to-1 ratio? You guys ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if I have or not.
If I tell you, this has been studied over and over and over again, and I think it applies here and we can extrapolate the knowledge here. If I, in a marriage, let's say, or any relationship, if I tell you 5 positive things, you're very, very smart. You're a great dresser. You're a good speaker. You are, and I tell you
know this.
5 good compliments, but then I tell you 1 negative compliment, it takes you back to 0 again in a marriage.
Oh,
In a
wow.
marriage
Yeah,
relationship, you have to have a ratio of at least 6-to-1 to feel fulfilled in a relationship. So literally, if my husband is like, you're a really good cook and you're really smart and you're really pretty and you're a great decorator and you take great care of the kids and you really suck at handling everything financially. If he told me that, I'm like, oh, and I don't feel fulfilled at all. I feel flatline. But if my husband tells me 6 really wonderful things and then tells me, you suck at the financial component of this, like we need to work on this. But there's 6 things behind it. You are smart and you're creative and you're wonderful and you're beautiful and you're such a good mom and you take such good care of everything and you really do, manage everything around the house and mom's living here and you're taking care of all these other things also. And you really sucked at that thing over there. Can we work on this thing together? And there's enough of the positive in there that I'm like, yep, let's dig into it. Let's work on it. And I think that we take our buckets, which need at least a 6-to-1 and probably closer to a 7 or 8-to-1 to really feel fulfilled. We take our bucket and we put a big hole in the bottom of it and we let everything fall out of the bucket without making sure we truly do the things that we value in our lives that are being, and the time to just be, which you're right, Kay, it takes space. It takes space and deliberate time to make sure that we fill our bucket full and we really live our life and we don't give the space and time to value it, to make sure that our buckets are full. And if we really look back at our lives and we really look back at the times that we grew and we learned the most, in my life, I took off because I had to, because the doctor said if I didn't do it, I was going to wind up right back in the hospital again. I took 5 weeks and 5.5 weeks. And I paid attention to life around me. And my husband we toured Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Northern California, some Southern California, and we did a big loop. But during that time, there was no goals. And all I wanted to do, and I knew that God was saying, Gina, wake that blank up. Like you have been asleep at the wheel for a long time now, probably 5 years asleep at the wheel, at least 4, and wake up. And I saw and God imparted amazing things in my life that I use today to teach with and to teach others with. And the thing that brings it up most, or that sums it up most for me, is 2 things. One, I saw a 3-legged dog going across the street. It didn't belong to anybody. It was a stray. It's the happiest damn 3-legged dog I ever saw in my entire life. I mean, this dog beamed life and joy, and he only had 3 legs. That was one. And then the other thing was there was a girl, 18, 19 years old, that was running a gondola thing, who kept on telling me, she tried so hard to get me to pay attention. And it took me right up the gondola and back down again before I could finally hear what she was saying. And she was saying, I know you. And she meant on so many levels. And I was like, no, you don't, la, 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 la. And then turns out she's from my dang hometown of Washington, Vancouver, Washington. But really what she was saying is you're a traveler and a gypsy and a sojourner. And that's part of who and what you are. And I couldn't hear it because I wasn't paying attention. And then when I got back down to the other side of it again, after going up this mountain and back down again, and then I was like, all right, who are you? And what are you really saying? And I could pay attention because I gave it the space. We don't value it. And yet those are the richest times of my life. Is just when I be and not do.
I value it. That's one of the things that that little evil voice talks about. Like, you can't afford to do this, that kind of thing.
You can't afford not to.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I'm the queen of that voice talking. Queen.
And I'm usually good at saying the opposite, taking something and looking at that obstacle and go, okay, how can I turn that around? What do I got to do? I'm usually pretty good at that. But doesn't mean that little voice isn't saying stuff. So,
I don't want to listen to that little voice anymore.
mm-mm.
I have learned over the past 2 weeks, so recently, so right now, and I'll probably have to learn it 1,000 other times, that if I am very deliberate in my 8 hours and I have the highest, best use of time in my 8 hours, I have time and space to carve out the way I really want to live my life, which is in very close communion with God, very close communion with other people, and talking about things that are very, very real. And that means, like here's what I do know. I am not going to stand here every single week and say, I've solved the whole entire world. I'm going to stand here every single week with you at some point, or maybe not every week, but at some point on a regular, continual basis and going, I completely F this one up. And I somehow have to stand on some level, all of us, you, every single person right here, right now, we are 10 feet tall and we are very, very, very good at something. And it's all different for all of us, but we're very good at that thing, whatever that thing is. And I think we need to stand there and say, this is what I'm good at. And then we also need to somehow at the same time stand there and only be 1 inch tall, 1 inch small, and say, and this is where I'm not doing it yet and where I'm not nailing it. And both of those things are completely true.
Mm.
And when we do that, then there's true value and worth in what it is that we do, because we're not saying, look, I'm the king of the world and I know how to do everything. And that's what makes me, because we all know it's not true. We're not king of the world, know how to do everything. We're not. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe somebody else is out there, but I cry bullshit on that because I know the truth underneath it. And the truth underneath it is we're all on a journey and we're all trying to figure it out. We just are. And there's value in that because I can say to you and anybody else that I'm working coming is that, look, just walk with me. That's it. I just want to walk with you. And together we'll continue walking down the path of whatever great work it is we're supposed to be doing and whatever that is that looks like. And I don't have all the answers and I'm not going to pretend I have all the answers. I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is I'm old and I'm chunky and I struggle with it. And in some level I'm 1 inch small and some level I'm 10 feet tall. And together, let's just go walk home. That's it. There's a lot of value in that to be able to say that I can get rid of the imposter syndrome and all the other things. I can strip them away because I don't have all the answers. I don't, but I am willing to open up space every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and especially on Fridays to open up space so that we can walk through things like I'm a flippin' human doing. I don't want to be one of those. I want to be a human being. All right. So my last one is gratitude.
Mm.
The more I stay in a place of gratitude, the better I do in my life. And I was thinking about this one. I was thinking about the time when I was married to my ex and we wanted to buy a house. And and we did everything that you're supposed to do. It's going to be our first house. We did everything you're supposed to do. And we had everything situated with his job and everything else. And right before we were going to get our first house, everything was set. We were going to go buy a house. We're going to buy $100,000 house. And this was back in like 1992, maybe.
Mm.
And Mark, we're going to buy $100,000 house. Wow. We're going to buy a house. And we were looking at houses and they were fixers and all that. But that's cool. I've done that my whole life. And it was our first one. And we had the 2 kids and they're little. Kids are literally little. They're like 1 and 2 or something like that. And we're going to get a house. And then at the very last minute, my dumb ex lost his job. and he was a dumb ex, by the way, and that was a pattern, but I didn't know it back then. But I just went into the, wow, I thought we were going to do this and now it's not going to happen. But then he lost his job and he ended up with this big, huge severance package and a chunk of change. And because of that, enabled us to buy what I considered to be our dream house that I really thought I was going to die in. And it was everything I ever would have wanted in the house. It cost $160 or something like that, which I didn't expect that we could ever be able to afford, but we did. 130, whatever it was. Anyway, and because of that, it was a shift. It was a shift. We had to take a left-hand turn. We had to go a whole different direction. But now on the backside, I could be incredibly grateful because it allowed us to not make a mistake of getting that house. That would have been the 100,000. That would have been the fixer-upper, not in a good neighborhood. Instead, we could get this other house in this great neighborhood that was this great space and beautiful brick home. And it really was a stunning house. It really was gorgeous. And I didn't understand at the time that the tragedy of him losing his job hit, that really what it was God had something much greater that I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of had I done the mistake. And so the gratitude, I think, for me is as you're walking along the path with the vision clearly in mind and you're guarding it, you're girding it, and you're going forward with that, is to be able to say thank you even in what looks like a tragedy. Still somehow say, I don't know what it looks like, but I'm going to stay focused because I know that this is right and true and good that I'm going after. I know that. And so if you're ripping it out from me, somehow you must have something greater planned for me. And to stay in that gratitude place and to trust and know that it's going to be okay. Just like Kay, who just went through the breakdown and the horrible, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I wasted a whole entire year. And and I don't know what I'm going to do. And the greater thing anyway that's going to come out of it. And I don't know if you were in a place of gratitude. I have no idea. I have no idea what where you were during that. I know that I have sucked going through stuff like that. I tend to stop and somehow say, somehow it's still going to be okay, God. And I know about y'all, but I do know about y'all. Y'all have survived 100% of every BS crap, left turn crap, big ass rock that's come down in your life. You survived every single one of them. Every single one. I know in my life, I've not been grateful enough for those also. I want and I choose, and I'm going to work my socks off on staying in a place of gratitude for it through them anyway.
Y'all know the book "And Still I Rise," the poem by Maya Angelou.
Say it again. What is it called?
"And Still I Rise." It's a poem, really.
Okay.
By Maya Angelou.
I saw her once. She's phenomenal.
She is, or was. And I got to see her once too in college. But when I ran across that, I wrote it all out by hand. So I could read it over and over and over again because I was going through such crap. And it helped lift me up through all that junk.
Right.
That's good.
And it's basically, you can beat me, you can do this, you can do that, whatever, and still I rise kind of thing. But it's a reminder.
It's a good reminder. I used to look at life, and I think it's a good reminder too. You helped me remember something. Remember when we were kids, those clowns that you would hit? They had a weighted bottom and they were a balloon, basically.
Okay.
and you'd
A
hit it.
boppy, a boppy.
Yeah,
I never did that, but I know what you're talking about.
yeah. I don't have to hit the person back. I just have to bounce up. I don't have to succeed any more than I just have to get up one more time. That's it. Just one more time, just one more time. Because eventually it's going to get tired of hitting me. And I just have to pop up one more time. It would just pop up one more time, just pop up one more time. And you will get done and you will get tired because I am going to pop up more times than you are going to hit me. I just am going to do that.
You're
And I
the
really
jack in the
don't have
box.
any- I really don't have any other answer other than you're not going to push me down. You're just not going to do it. You can hit me. You can hit me over and 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 over again. You're still going to pop back up again. That's all I got to do. It's just got to keep on popping back up.
Yeah.
Yep. So abundance, keeping the thought clear in your head, coming from a place of abundance and understanding life is abundant, keeping the thought clear in your head, creative building versus competitive building. Really, 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 really knowing your value, guarding your mind, how you spend your time, and being in a place of gratitude. Living your life this way is truly, truly, truly living your life rich. And I'm going to go back to my Christian upbringing again. And like Gary always does at the end of the meetings, he preaches, even if he doesn't call it that, he does, he preaches. If I lost it. Oh man. No, I got it back again. When I first looked up, I come to give you life and give it abundantly. I was like, what do you really mean by that? Like, what do you mean by life and abundantly? It means that life is just life and abundance is just abundance. Life is, that's all it is. It's abundance in everything. There's no trick. There's no only spiritual. It's everything. I come to give you life and I come to give it life abundantly. It's all of it. It's all of it. There's no trick in it. That's all it is. It's I come to give you life and I come to give you abundantly. No strings attached, no trick. No, this is the only way that, you know, this is the, I only mean it spiritually. I don't mean it financially. No, it means everything. It means everything. Health, wealth, freedom, spiritual, mind, all of it. I come to give you that. And I come to give it to you abundantly. So
What's the name of the book again?
The Secret of Getting Rich. There are 3 of them. His name is Wallace Wattles, like you would like Wattles. Hang on one second. Let me pull up my Audible. There's a 3-pack. The Science of Getting Rich, The Science of Being Well, The Science of Being Great. And I'm reading them in the order. I just finished The Science of Getting Rich today by Wallace D. Wattles. And I'm going to start The Science of Being Well and The Science of Being Great. And he lived in like 1860 to 1910, somewhere in that range. He wasn't very old when he died, for whatever reason he died. And anyway, that's the first one. Short, tiny books. In the Audible format, 7, 14, 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 75, 80, maybe 85, 160, maybe 3 hours in that first book, maybe 2 hours in that first book. So short. It's got to be a short little book. Wallace Wattles.
Okay,
All right.
awesome.
Thank you guys for sticking in here. We went seriously over. And I'm really, really grateful for all of you. And you are part of the million people that I want to add value to in my life. That's what you guys are. You guys are part of that million people. And it's not a one-way street. You guys add massive value back to me. You really do. And I don't want you to ever forget that. Ever forget that, how much value.
So you're saying we're 1 in a million.
That's exactly what you are. I love it. Thank you for bringing that.
Gina, I'm glad I showed up today. Thank you.
I'm glad you did too. I
Me
really,
too.
really am. I really am. And I'm glad you were able to stick through it. And I saw you keep on having to come back in. I am really, really grateful that you did. It came on and Laura's like, I love the mindset class. You taught forever going Monday. I'm like, oh, you're gonna like today. Yeah.
It was
So-
right on. This is what I needed.
Yeah,
Oh,
me too. Me too. It's exactly what I needed to. Okay, you
She has
guys.
recordings too. I don't know how to get to them, but she's got them.
Yep, they're all up on YouTube. If you Google Wealth Determiners on YouTube, it's in there. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll get you the links or the page or whatever magical place that is. You guys have a 3-day weekend in front of you. You actually have the rest of your lives in front of you. I am going to work on my great work and carving out my time to do the things that bring me the most joy because I want to give back. And those are gardening and writing and speaking. Those are the things that are really, really, really important to me in my life. And I'm going to carve out time to be so that I can be, because when we truly be is when we give the best back to the world and we leave the world a lot better place because we be in it. So I encourage you to be in it.
Yeah, I gotta be an awful lot in the open house this weekend. But
Well, it looked good. I loved your listing.
thank you.
Yep. All right. Congratulations, you all. Have an amazing weekend. And I will see you guys on Tuesday.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
All right. Gina, is there no coaching on Monday?
Is there no what?
Coaching.
There's no coaching on Monday. There's nothing. I'm taking the whole entire day. I highly encourage you guys to do something really good with your lives.
Will do.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.